Hi all, and welcome to another episode of CSX West Isola. This episode is going to be a little bit different, mainly due to a question that I had from one of the on my last video from Alan at K&W Railroader. He asked me, how did a Brit get involved in modelling US railroads? So I thought some time out about who I am and how I've ended up here. My name's Lee. I'm actually named after a lady called Lee Cassidy, who was my mum's pen friend during the Second World War. I was born in 1954, so that's gives you an idea. I am 70 this year. When I was young, didn't have a model railway, never had one, didn't have the space or the money or anything to do that. But I did do modelling plastic kits, flying aeroplanes and, elastic band airplanes and all that sort of stuff, boats, etc., etc. It was actually in my mid-20s I finally bought my first piece of model railway stuff. And believe it or not, that was some JUF French steam locos, a couple of French steam locos and one of their panoramic diesel rail cars. It was inspired by an article in a magazine that we get over here, which was called, Railway Modeler. It's our equivalent to the US's Model Railroader, I would say. So they had a French layout in there, which I think was called Axe Le Bon or something like that. And that inspired me. I bought some locos and that, ran it on the club layout. I was in the RAF at the time. We had a club layout, so I ran it on there. Didn't have space for a home layout or anything like that. Then I was posted to Germany, and one of the advantages in Germany of being in the forces at the time was you could buy stuff tax-free, so no sales taxes on it or anything like that. And about a 10-minute walk from where I live was a hobby shop, and in there they had lots of German model railway stuff. So I started buying that and bought quite a lot of it. I also built a very small 4 foot by 1 foot model railway layout on there of a classic end of branch line steam era Deutsche Bundesbahn. That lots of Fleischmann, Minitrix, Lima, all those sort of things that were around. Obviously, no DCC or normal DC, no sound or anything like that. And it was quite good. I quite enjoyed doing that. Went back to UK, kept that layout, and that's all I did. Again, back to still had no space, but I did have a lot of that. Then personal circumstances changed, and I ended up having to get rid of all my model railway stuff, and I had to sell it all. So I sold all my French stuff and my German, and away it went. And that was probably about 1987, something like that, that I got rid of all of that. Fast forward a few years, still not doing any model railwaying, although I used to buy magazines and read the books, etc. And never even at this stage were thinking about doing any US. It was still German, was still my sort of thing that I kept doodling layouts, etc., like you do. Until one day I was waiting for a ferry on the Isle of Wight, and I bought Model Railroader magazine. And that opened up my eyes, and I suddenly thought, God, these models, and that looked so cool, the diesels and that time. Up to then, had no real interest in diesels, but American US diesels looked so good. And there was a layout in there, which was an L-shaped one. Can't remember who it was by, but it was one of their classic builder layout series. And it was an L-shaped layout, and I can't remember the guy's name, but it was done. He was really into dominoes at the time. So this would have been 90, I would say probably 95 on there. And I thought, crikey, this looks good. So got back, had a look at my space at home and thought, well, yeah, I can't build that, but I can build in a spare bedroom a small N-gauge one. Famous shop in the UK at that time was a shop called Victor's in London, and went up there and part of my job and bought a BN GP9 and some locos. Also started picking up another magazine that we have now, which has come out there, which is a thing called Continental Modeler. And this is a British magazine done by the same people as Railway Modeler, but the difference is that this is all overseas stuff, or overseas to what we have in the UK. So there was American stuff in there. But there was also, more importantly, an advert in there for the British region of the NMRA. So I joined that, and I was really fortunate because the place I lived in the time, the Model Railway Club there, the local Model Railway Club, was really into American. So I got there, joined them, and started getting involved in NTRAC. I went to the NMRA UK conventions and all that sort of stuff, and was building a small N scale switching layout in my shelf layout in my spare bedroom. Got quite a lot of stuff and started building up. Had to move into a place that was bigger. I had a 12'6" by 13'6", which in UK terms is quite a big space to put a layout in. Living on my own, so I was a single bloke, so I could do what I liked. So I started building a big N scale layout in there. Bought more and more. By this time I was doing DCC, a bit complicated because some of them you had to change the frames on the engines to be able to get the decoders in and all that sort of stuff. This, say, would have been sort of like mid to late 90s. Unfortunately, another change in circumstances meant that I had to move and I had to sell all my N-Gage stuff. And that went on until big space in time. Still sort of bought the odd magazine, still read the odd book. Couple of inspirations though, going back to where one of the things that really made me think about American railways differently, which were completely different to the UK. So this was in my when I was starting to do my NSGA, was this book here. What an absolute eye-opener this was to a British modeler, railway modeler. At the time, I think most British layouts tended to be branch line, end of branch, and they tended to work on a sequence. So you'd see a passenger train in and a passenger train out. You'd have a goods train come in, the goods train out. Nobody did what I would say, or at least in my experience reading the UK magazines or anything like that, did any operating as Bruce Chubb would envisage it. I found this book in a library. Didn't steal the copy though. And then once I found it and read it cover to cover, I then bought my own copy of it. But that's probably been the inspiration of everything else. Obviously, he's geared up to a far bigger layout than what I've got, but it still sparked my interest in operations. So got to 2019, and I decided that I needed to get back and do something. So I built a small, I started to build a small 009 layout. And 009 is narrow gauge. It's 4mm the foot scale, but it runs on 9mm N-Gage track. So it's a narrow gauge. So I think you get HON3 and things like that in over there. So British narrow gauge, they're sort of inspired by the world. Started to do that. Didn't do it for very long though, literally a couple of months. And then whilst on there, I was looking at all the various YouTube videos that there are out there, and suddenly discovered you did not need masses of room to build an American layout. There were lots of two turnout layouts at the time, two turnouts operating, really good layouts all over YouTube. And I then also came across this guy, Lance Mendheim, and these two books. Get these the right way around. How to operate a switching layout and how to build a switching layout. And so up came the 009 track, the narrow gauge went away, and I started building in the same space a two-switch food processing plant, I think what I did, although at the time it was just there. I had one loco, the genset that you've seen operating, and a few freight cars, and that was it. Built a fiddlestick to go on the end of it, and that was what I was operating. All in HO, because when I came back, I thought, getting my age with my eyes, N scale, yep, I could have done it, but HO appealed to me more, especially with the modern version of DCC and sound and everything else that was going on. So started that. Then coming up towards retirement, I then moved up to where I am now, and ended up with the space I've got. So now I'm building this switching layout that I've got in there. For what is in the UK is quite a big space. And a lot of people will be quite envious of the amount of space I've got to do. It's actually in the end of a garage that has been blocked off. It's a sort of 2-car length garage rather than 2-car width. So I blocked the end right off. Can't get a car in it, just a bit of storage space. And that's where we are today. And hopefully that little bit of background has helped on there. One of the things I can say, without a doubt, the inspiration of YouTube modelers out there has been immense. Just been out to watch all these fabulous people who build their layouts and share their experiences, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to sort of do what I'm doing now. My layout isn't going to be perfect. It isn't going to be wonderful. It's not going to rival the layouts and the detail of people like Boomer and stuff like that. I don't have the skill set, and I don't really have the time to do it. So what I'm aiming for is from another guy out there that you'll probably recognise is saying, is it good enough? Does it survive the 3-foot rule? Can I sit from 3 foot away? Does it look okay? Does it all sort of match? That's what I'm aiming for. And hopefully that's what I'm sharing, because sometimes I think you can be put off by looking at really incredible layouts and think, well, I'm never going to achieve that. I'm never going to be able to do that. So you don't have to. You can still have plenty of enjoyment just doing your own thing. So hopefully that's what I've shared. So, and hopefully, yeah, it's answered Alan's question about why here and why now. All right. So till the next video, I'll see you then. Thanks.